trouble? Who's here who didn't pitch yet? You got it here.
Yeah, the
Saturday.
Yeah, the spokesperson did show up.
Got it. Okay, so everybody pitched on Saturday? Okay, so the people who haven't pitched yet are here. That's not helpful. Well, I know David's traveling, Andrew's traveling. So we'll move on to the next two chunks of the lean canvas. We're going to talk about metrics tonight and revenue streams. We'll work on those as a group. I've also got a marketing metrics presentation if you want to learn a bunch of crazy acronyms about marketing, so that when you talk to your marketing person or people, you know what to call that shit on them. It's always helpful, right? You go, hey, what's your, I don't know if that CPM is right. Maybe LTV good enough, that CPCA? You go, what are you talking about? But I'll teach you all this. But for metrics, so how many of you know what you, so one of the things that we'll bring Greg Teasdale later on in the program, and he'll teach you about figure of merit, which is the one thing that everybody in your company should know, the one number that everybody should keep track of all the time. But for you as business owners, what are the key, let's talk about the 3 or 4 key metrics that you're going to track to know if your company is on track and growing, right? Anybody got one of those they start right now? Yes.
We do. Well, we have 4. Number of members.
Number of members.
Revenue from members.
Got it.
We have different tiers. Number of retention.
Okay. So that's a churn rate, like a attrition rate, right?
And dollars from retention.
So is retention everybody through time or just month to month, or how do you track it? Okay.
I mean, so today I can go pull up retention since today last year. So
Got it. So do you actually know your turnover rate, your attrition rate then, so you can calculate the lifetime value of a member, right? The average person will stay for this much time. Okay, that's good. How long does it take you to figure out if that number is changing drastically? Because that's a pretty, depending on how far back in the past you go, it gets more and more difficult to measure.
And being fairly new in the organization, pretty upset at some of the monkeying around with the database to make retention look. So sometimes, I mean, you hold the drops for these reasons and no reason, so it's like, we're just kidding ourselves.
Right. So one of the ways, for those of you, because you might have dealt with students too, right? One of the ways that you can, that I've seen this done before, is what we call cohort retention.
Okay.
You can say everybody who joined in this quarter of this year, how many of them have left? Then you can look at it and say, these folks came into this intro program or had this training or this networking. Which ones of these are yielding a better retention rate?
We have monthly cohort by month.
Yeah.
So
cohort retention can be helpful. What else? I mean, obviously there's some folks who just have sales, right? You probably get a sales number.
So it's gross profit.
Okay. So margin dollars, gross margin.
Gross margin. And also, so revenue is not as important.
Right, because you could completely lose your shirt and sell a lot.
Exactly. And also any variance in our budget on a month-to-month, so we were staying within our budget, also knowing where we are as far as our overhead is going. And then, the bank does a lot of the taking care of a lot of the ratios as far as, inventory turns and things like that they like to see.
Does anybody not understand when it says inventory turns? Okay, inventory turns. Okay, this is a really important number. If you have inventory and you sell it and you make a certain margin percentage, the best way to get more profitable is to sell it faster. So if you have $1 million in inventory and you turn it 3 times a year, you're selling that whole inventory $3 million a year, you're making 20% margin, right? But if you can keep your inventory smaller so it turns faster and maintain the margin, or if it stays the same size and you can still increase the turns, it's like an engine. The faster you turn it, the more you get out of it, right? So in retail or in wholesale, inventory turns becomes really, the turn rate becomes really important, because if you're not turning fast enough, you've got all this cash tied up in inventory on it.
Right.
Which means it's not liquid. You can't do anything with it, right? Yeah, it's not really an asset, right? Wine on the shelf does you no good. Wine in pellets fills well. That's the point.
And bread on the shelf can go bad.
That's right.
So wine can get better.
Right. Wine can actually appreciate.
Yeah, one of the things I've always talked to people when they're saying, I paid too much for this and I'm not going to sell it to you. I'm going, look, dude, We are dealing with red meat, not red wine.
So, but inventory turns, so if you're in the retail space, I don't think nobody here is in retail. But inventory turns is important. The other one is sales per square foot becomes very important. So how much are you maximizing? In the bar and restaurant space, sales per square foot is important. Square footage is an overhead. It can be in wholesale too, depending on how high you can stack that stuff, right?
Yeah, but a lot of times in the brokering type of business, inventory can also be defined as a mistake.
Right. I'm sitting on a bunch of stuff I don't need.
Exactly. So generally, inventory is something that no one's ever going to buy. Unless you scrap it, then 2 weeks later, they will want it.
So here's a quick business challenge for you, because my mother is down in Florida, and she is helping her church with a thrift store. And so they get the product donated to them for free, and then they sell it. So my mother is upset because some of the stuff that she's priced, people want to keep bargaining down. She's already given it a really good bargain price, and people keep wanting it for lower. So she says, no. Is that the right call if your cost of goods sold is $0? And I said, so wait a minute, you pay nothing.
Right.
You'd rather keep it in this, why? Do you like dusting it
Yeah,
and moving
right.
it around? So I'm trying to explain to her that any dollar amount when you pay $0 to the cost of goods sold is turning inventory. I said, give it away for a penny if you have to move
Right.
it, right? Anything you're sitting on, you're losing money, right? So, and she's got this whole opportunity cost concept that, well, if I sell it to this person for 5 and somebody else comes in and pay 10 later, it's the classic bird in the hand, two in the bush situation,
Exactly.
right? Just keep moving that stuff through. So this is why eBay works so well, is that your cost of goods sold is not taken into consideration. You might have paid $300 for the chair, but it's just your chair, and you already have it. You don't think about it until you sell it online for whatever, and pay eBay 15% of some terrible money-losing proposition, and they make billions of dollars. Okay. So when we start talking about these metrics, like really understanding how the metrics apply to your business, not all retail metrics apply the same way. So having no cost of goods sold in the thrift store completely changes your business metrics you should be tracking, right? You should be tracking how fast you can bring in new product and move it out with a limited amount of storage and total revenues and things like that. What's the metric? What metrics do you track? How do you know that you're growing?
Probably both our top line growth and but bottom line more importantly than top line. Because we don't make widgets. Everything we do is different every day.
You have a bespoke product, right?
Yeah.
Do you track the number of new sales leads, potential customers who contact you or who you reach out to?
No, we really don't.
Okay. Do you close 100% of the people who reach out to you?
It's a pretty high percentage, probably about 80, at least 80%.
Okay. So if you guys don't do any outside sales right now, like you're not lighting up phones or sending out postcards or anything like
No.
that? Okay.
And yeah, we did try that when we first bought the business, and that wasn't good.
Wasn't working.
No.
Do you call on past customers on a regular basis?
No. We probably should.
How many of you ever had a windshield replaced by a company in Arizona and got the call like a year later? They call every 6 months to a year and go, hey, I just want to check, is your windshield okay? Got any cracks, chips? Can we go out and take care of that for you, right? Bill your insurance company. Right. They just got people lighting up the phone, right? Because they know that in Arizona, on average, you're going to need to replace your windshield once every 1.5 years or something. The roads kick up a bunch of stuff, right? You know that the minute you drop that furniture, it starts wearing down, right?
Yeah.
So you know it a 3 month, 6 month, 9 month, 12 month, every quarter. You could call and touch base and say, hey, it looks like we did your chairs a year and a half ago. How are they looking?
Yeah. And it's funny. It's almost uncanny. You almost do get used to that cycle because the minute we say, you know who we haven't heard from in a long time, and the phone rings within 24 hours.
Right.
And there they are. It's really
So the question I have about that is if they're only, so if we get stuck, humans get stuck in these patterns of thinking where I only think, we get you to do our chairs, so I only think about you for chairs. I don't think about you for benches or tables or whatever, right?
Exactly.
So if you always wait for me to call you, I'm going to call you when I need my chairs redone, but you're missing all that other business. If you called and said, hey, we knew we did your chairs 3 months ago, but would you mind if we came out and just take a look, see if there's anything else we can do for you?
Yeah.
Was that a satisfactory experience? Blah, blah, blah. You'd be surprised. There's probably double your business just sitting out there waiting for that phone call, right?
That was one of the things when we first bought the business, we found that out, is people thought we just upholstered. And they'd say, I've got this terrible conference table, and we can refinish
We do that too, right?
And they didn't know that. And it was
So, if you're getting to the point where you're going to start, let's say you start making those calls, what kind of metrics will we put in place to know if that's successful? How might we measure that?
Maybe the response that they didn't know we did something.
Well, orders would be part of it, right?
Yeah. Right.
The other thing would be if you've got history on these clients and you can say, on average, this client spends this much per quarter. If we take their total spend over 3 years divided by quarter, then you can compare their average quarterly spend and their new quarterly spend and see the delta of that process, right? So you can say, hey, we're getting a gain here, right? And then you can actually start looking at who are my best customers from average quarterly spend, and who are my best customers from margin points. And my recommendation is you fire your 10% worst customers and never do business with them again, because they're just costing you money, right? They're the ones who are always complaining. They're the ones who are always trying to argue for a better deal. I once kicked a guy out of a Home Depot store. He said, I'm going to Lowe's. I said, oh, God, please go to Lowe's. It's the best thing you can do for my business is to go across the street, right? Because you are such a terrible customer that you will single-handedly bring that company down. I didn't quite say all of that, but I felt it. All right, so that's a good set of metrics. You can start with that. You want to know the margin. You talk about margin dollars. That's really important. It's easy to get stuck in gross revenue, but depending on your product line, if you're not making the margin dollars, right? And you guys, if you're taking 15% of everybody, are you gonna force everybody into one bucket of pricing, Paul? Is that the thinking?
We did 15 to 25%.
Okay. Depending on the type of consulting?
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody at the same 150 an hour, or are you
No,
gonna?
the idea is we start at, let's say, 120 an hour, and as we go each year, they'll go up as we can attract better talent
Right?
and better clients.
Okay. So there could be a different hourly rate based on whether it's one-on-one chat, video, or something like that, right?
Right.
And also there's some economics in play, because if I want a MRSA expert, there's probably 50 of them. But if I want somebody who's actually dealt with Ebola, there's probably 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's going to be some exclusivity value, right?
Yes.
Some people will be rarer and therefore more expensive.
Or if we do the subscription model, that's going to be different pricing system, the business model as well.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to get to revenue streams in a second. We're going to talk about all the ways we can make money. So.
Yeah.
For the Tucson One Club metrics.
Probably cases sold. We do membership model where we're charging membership fees, effectively membership fees.
Okay.
Like per year. Revenues on cases sold, like quantity of cases sold, and then our margin on those cases.
You're holding your margin like Costco to a specific number, you're thinking, right?
Always 20% as of right now.
Okay. Because Costco is like, we will never charge more than 15% markup on anything.
Is that what they say?
That's
Do they advertise their?
Nope, but their CEO, I've seen him interviewed 10 times. He's like, everything I sell, maximum markup is 15%.
They're really proud of their hot dog. They've kept it above 50 and hot dog soda for like 30 years.
So, I don't know what's in that hot dog. 30 years later, you might know what you did. But I mean, the other thing is that Costco figured out that the treasure hunt is part of the game. So they have your staples that you come back for every week, but then they do exclusive group buys and road shows to drive this week it might be like, this month it might be like super crazy laptop deals, and next month it's like cameras, and the month after that it's diamond jewelry. And hey, look, it's coffins. I mean, they did that once, right? Yeah. You ever see you remember the Costco? They have the coffin. I got a pallet of those. Like, I got a big weekend planned. That's right. So they had to balance the two, right? So I mean, for wine drinkers, there might be my usual stuff that I drink all the time, but there's also the treasure hunt aspect of it.
Yeah.
They're an interesting model for what you're doing because they have a similar structure.
They are an interesting model. It's been in the back of my head all along when we started the member and undercutting people. Once they buy into it, then we undercut them. And if you price, people have forgotten about the membership fee, and then you price check someone on the price, and then they feel like they've gotten a benefit, and then we're 9% lower than Total Wine on average. We beat them 25 out of 30 bottles. We beat them by 9% on average.
I bought some stuff at, I think it was Denver this weekend. So the other part of that is you want to segment your list as you go along, because you've got the LTV, the lifetime value of the customer, and the cost per customer acquisition. And for investment, The percentage investors are looking for is 25% CPCA of your LTV. So if you've got an LTV of $1,200, they want to see that you're spending about $300 acquiring that customer. And the reasoning is this. Let's say you can acquire the customer for $10 and you're like, look at how good I am. I'm getting my customers for $10. Their argument is spend more on marketing, turn the engine faster, get more people to grow, right? So about that 25 to 20% is about what we see in the VC world and the LTV to CPA.
CPA cost per acquisition.
Cost per acquisition. Right? How does it cost you?
Marketing.
Marketing, onboarding, sales reps, whatever you might need. Okay. The interesting thing about your model is that you should actually segment your LTV groups. I would think you're going to have high frequency, high dollar buyers, low frequency, high dollar buyers. You might have a grid. And so you might, once you figure out who the profile is of that high LTV person, you want to be able to spend more to go after them and not waste that dollar on somebody who's not generating any margin dollars for you, right?
That's typical target, social media targets.
Yeah. Well, it's psychographic profiling too. It's demographic and psychographic profiling. So in a subscription model, LTV, in the school model, LTV, cost per customer acquisition does matter, right? The margin dollars still matter. Attrition is a huge deal. You need to keep people.
We found that no one is doing a cost plus model. Everyone is doing discount, large deep discounts off some cost basis, but they can just make up like last file or whatever.
Yeah.
Any online merchant. There's not really there's no teeth in the legal enforcement of putting your cost basis. Like the FTC isn't going after anyone.
Right.
On the actual cost basis that they put an X through.
Right.
So
I've got an entire 1-hour lecture on consumer pricing psychology. I'm going to do in this class.
When is that?
It's coming up, but you're going to want to think about that very carefully and go study JCPenney. Because honest pricing is rejected by consumers. They don't want it. They don't want it. They don't like it. It scares them. They hate it. So I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I'm just saying that in and of itself, from a consumer psychology standpoint, I want to see the double strike throughs that I'm getting a smoking deal. I want the coupon and the family discount and the this, and I want to stack that's what JCPenney found in that consumer base. Your consumer may be different. We don't know, but
The JCPenney broke.
yeah, they're almost done. They switched to it's all going to be honest pricing. It's no longer $99. It's a $10 shirt or a $7 shirt. There's never a sale. There's never a coupon. All the prices are the lowest we can possibly get them, and they're all fair. And people rejected it en masse and whatever else.
Like Saturn?
Them and Kmart are on the way out the door.
Right. Well, they're mostly real estate players. They're mostly real estate players now. So different people.
When is this lecture you're talking about?
The pricing one? I have it scheduled. That's a way to do that.
So what is
May 17th.
like that hard to
It's the same reason being honest in your first date is scary.
It's right there.
People like to play the game.
May 17th.
do they
I mean,
not think about this?
People are always looking for the catch, and they always want to get one over. Is that what it is, May 15th?
17th.
May 17th, yep, pricing and copywriting. That week 5, that Tuesday is going to be how to write copy that sells and how to price.
What time is that at?
5:30 is at 6, it's the same time, 5:30. So, okay, so back to metrics. So there's a bunch of metrics around LTVs and things like that. And when I do this marketing presentation, there's a bunch of stuff's going to apply to you guys for sure. The school, what do you measure now?
Enrollments, completions, placements.
What's your completion rate? I drove past your school on 5th.
But that's all.
Is it?
Yeah.
Still got a sign up.
Yeah. Not our problem.
Not your problem.
No, we're on Speedway now.
Okay, that's probably a better location.
We also have a retail.
Right on. So enrollments, completions, probably by cohort as well, because they all start and go through the whole process, right? Hires is probably important with you guys, right?
Placement, yeah.
Yeah, placement, that's okay. Do you try to survey in any way like you do for your graduates? It'd be tough, but if you could get an anonymous method, I only ask because if you guys are offering a different level of training, you can, as part of your own process, say, look, our graduates are on average 12%.
That gets hard because so many of them live on get tips, and so.
They don't report all that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think, and then there's people that are working illegally out of their houses, so
Sure.
they don't want us to know
All kinds of
that either.
Got it.
Real quick question, where you guys in business, do you, track conversions versus, because so basically you have two types of, for your purpose, you have three types of people in this world, right? Somebody that will never be in the makeup artist or, esthetician, right? Somebody that, finished high school or whatever, and they're like, I want to be an esthetician. And then somebody that didn't even cross their mind until you guys showed up and said, well, maybe I'll do that. Does that even matter?
It would only matter from a marketing standpoint, if you segment that audience, that might matter. Yeah. Especially if you follow completion. I mean, you
Because that would be a
have
less
certain
percent of market for you than.
We have an insane completion rate compared to the school where I used to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so like, wow, really, this many students graduate?
Yeah.
Compared to where I used to work, they struggled getting 50% completion. And we have in the high 80s, low 90s.
That's great. When people complete your school, can they come back and purchase your products for use in their business?
Well, yeah, some of them. We don't sell, all of our products aren't necessarily professional, but some of them.
Yeah, and they can either come and purchase it through the retail and give them a lifetime 10% discount for
Sure.
purchasing retail, but they could also open an account with my other.
That would be an interesting metric to track how many folks open accounts and how much you're selling to former students. Just because there's kind of a 1-2 punch of like training with these products and making these products available to you. Right?
And that's relatively new because we've only had
Sure.
one cohort graduate since they had it available.
Okay.
I'll start tracking.
Well, I would just be interested to know if it's a valuable thing to pursue. Depends on the margin points on those products.
We track number of products sold, which products are sold, and then lately we've been tracking the number of products sold per customer. So we've had repeat customers, and we've changed a few things, and we're noticing that some people are buying more products.
So you sell on the website primarily, right?
On the website, so inventory turn is important to us, and painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The craft supply business is always painful.
Yeah, we pay storage and things for that. So the inventory is important. And then we just got a CRM system for tracking sales leads.
Great.
So we'll talk about
Good. So you check your close rates and the pipeline projection. You track your total conversion rate on your website.
Yes, we have all of that.
You know the percentage off the top of your head. That's
Actually,
what you
I
should
think
know.
it's like 5.
5% or 0.5?
Tiny. I don't know.
Oh, 0.05? Yeah, industry average is 2%.
Okay.
Okay. Do you require people to create an account to buy from you?
No, but we do ask, when bill pops up to give their email, so that they can be on the email list. We don't require an account. And all of our emails link directly into shop pages.
Okay, so I can go to your website, buy your product, check out, never create an account, never need a password.
No, yeah, correct.
Okay,
We do
good.
not do that.
That'll double your conversion rate, by the way, just allowing guest checkout.
And that's what we taught. So we just
Yeah,
want to-
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we're getting lots of touches from social media. Like their
With level double. Not sending us? or-
Guest checkout will double your conversion rate. Literally, yep. It doesn't matter what percent of the company. I've seen companies do $50 million a year. They allow guest checkout, they do $100 million. Always do that. People do not want to have a relationship with you. They want a one-night stand and get their product. They don't want to remember a password. They don't want to track anything. They just want to be done. Now, with consulting is going to be a little more challenging to do that, right? But for buying product, they just want to buy my product. Right?
So you would then have emails.
Yeah, it depends on when that interstitial email happens. I would push it to after I entered my information before I went to payment, maybe, because I've got more invested. We can talk about that. There's a whole, I've got an e-commerce conversion lecture that we'll do for those of you who are interested in that. Because there are like hundreds of things you can do to increase e-commerce. I had one of the past students here was Barbar, and I helped them with their website. They were converted at 0.02%, and they're converted at 4%. I had them as high as 7, but we made some more changes. Now they convert at a lower rate, but they've got much higher product sales. Average
Convert, what's a conversion?
conversion is out of 100 people who landed on your website, what percentage of them bought something and gave you money?
Our bar?
Our bar. The energy bar, not the
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha.
not the R bar, the R bar, right?
Now, okay.
All right.
That's more a function of who we are attracting with our ads, because we were thinking of the keywords, but it's not matching.
Pardon?
Okay.
Also, if you're taking people from a keyword ad and you're dumping them onto your homepage, you're probably just losing a bunch of money. You need to have a custom segmented ad that lands them on a custom segmented web page, right? Right. So you might target specifically like people who are searching for how to help my child deal with grief. You've got an ad like craft kits to help children deal with grief that lands them on a website that has psychologists talking about dealing with grief and a product to deal with grief, right? Customers want a completely segmented experience. They don't want to shop for it, think about it, apply for it. They don't want to read. Bullet points and pictures, video, you can do it. Nobody wants to read. Okay. By the way, I was just thinking that he's probably got cases of like ripe avocado, and you've got students who do masks. There's a deal here. I'm just like, feel it. Cucumbers, right? You got everything here. What are your measures? What do you
Well,
track?
right now, I track sales, shrink, and which commodities are the most profitable for me, and that's what I focus on.
Okay.
So for instance, you may have a customer that buys 15 different commodities. Well, I have to carry a arugula, because they want the 1 pound a week.
Right.
But
Nobody likes arugula. That's terrible. You like it? You like it? You got some arugula fans in here? I got 3 grams of arugula right here.
But then you carry it because you want the business on the avocados and the tomatoes and the
Sure.
onions, which are the
Do you lose money on the arugula?
No, it's just a small margin, like a 12% margin, And since he's already on his way up to make the delivery, so throwing off the truck doesn't really
Sure.
But those are the basic metrics I'm doing.
In the wholesale business, do you do loss leaders? Do you sell something that at your cost just because it's going to get people to order the rest of the stuff?
Sometimes I do, yeah. When it's a commodity that I don't carry regularly, and this customer says, well, if you don't carry these 3 things,
Right.
then I don't, then I gotta stay with my current supplier. So then I'll go and buy it at cost and sell it to them at cost just to be competitive with them. So they can buy again the tomatoes, the avocados, the cucumbers, stuff that I know how to make money on.
So you have a blended margin rate, right? So you would, okay. Is your blended margin rate different per customer?
Yeah.
You're averaging 16% on this restaurant and 22 on that, 35 over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can rack and stack your customers by blended margin per month.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
you might want to start getting new customers.
and
Acquire
it's
someone
and it's
else.
hilarious because it's geographically based.
Yeah.
So, Central South Tucson, they'll kill you for $1.
Yeah.
Okay. Northern Tucson, just make sure the stuff shows up. It shows up on time, and then when I put my hand in the freezer, in the fridge, it's there and it's good.
Yeah.
And then like North Central Tucson is it's a balance. They're like, you know what? Just stay to the on or around market.
Right.
They're not like being over.
How much more profitable is the Northern Tucson than say the Central Tucson, the South Central Tucson?
I say 15%.
50%. So really, your expansion plan should be in certain zip codes around.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring in a consultant from the South too.
I would be willing to bet it is a perfect overlay with the U.S. Census blocks for average household income, because people are traveling that far.
I feel like insurance companies do the same thing, like based on your zip code, they'll insure you for last few years, low incidence of things happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And so they're like, oh, you're downtown, we'll charge you 25%
That's
more.
right.
So we're going to make more off you in the beginning, and you're probably going to get in an accident. So they'll let you later.
All right. Okay. So shrink, margin,
Sales, yeah, and margin by commodity and by customer. Okay. It's just everybody's so different,
Do you have a threshold below which you won't go for an average weekly sale per customer, daily sale per customer? Like, what's the minimum? Do you have a minimum?
Depends. No, like I
So I
have.
can order a pound of arugula from you like every 3 days and deliver that?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. Well, I don't have a minimum per se, but for instance, I do have a sandwich shop in town that they have 7 locations. And sometimes they will make me drive all the way to Thryve for 1 stock of salary.
No one stock.
Of salary. And I will do the drive because I get all 7 stores every day. And that, you know what I'm saying?
You just call them and be like, go to the grocery store.
I've done that before. I'm like, are you sure you need it today? Can we just leave it for tomorrow? And they're like, no, I gotta have it because.
You need to
This-
subcontract in the neighborhood to go to Safeway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uber.
Forget it, grow.
Yeah, but it's just interesting that, you know, sometimes you're like, you know what, you're right, I don't need it. But other guys, because they're so organized as to what the minimum that they need to have of this specific product is, they will, you know, I just need 1 sock salad. Well, can't you wait till tomorrow? Well, no, because I'm below what I'm supposed to have. But you think you'll sell that whole other stock of salary that you have left or 2? No, but then I need to be at this number. Okay. And then I'll talk to their manager. They're usually like, leave it alone. Just deliver it tomorrow.
Okay. So everybody's got on their lean canvas 3 or 4 metrics, the key metrics they can measure in output, right? Lowest, the next chunk of this, and I'll get to this advertising metric thing in a second, the next chunk of this is revenue. And so the first step in this exercise is I want you to write down all the revenue streams you currently have. So that might be product sales, spa treatments, student tuition, right? Some of you might have 1, some of you might have 5. And you can chunk them, and then, you know, it doesn't have to be like upholstery, or, you know, refinishing separate, but it can be, okay, so you've got a bucket of services.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine, just write down, you know, refurbishing services, that's 1 revenue line. Because my challenge to you is you need to come up with 2 more possible streams of revenue after everything you've got right now.
Does it count as a stream?
2 more in addition to what they have?
Different place on-
2 more they don't have right now.
Oh, 2 new ones.
2 new ones, yeah.
It's still a new revenue stream, even if it's from a different source, but the same thing you're selling.
Nope, that would be the same revenue. So if you've got monthly membership and wine sales, that's 2 revenue streams. I'm gonna challenge you to come up with 2 more. Right? Which, I mean.
Corkscrews.
Well, I mean, you have accessories, right? That could be the other, off the top of my head, you could have wine trips. I've seen cigar trips.
That's what
cigars all the
first thing
time.
I was thinking.
That's another. type
What,
of
corkscrews isn't enough for you?
revenue. The corkscrew industry is a $1.6 billion, except for in France.
Pretty sure you get 25 million on corkscrews.
By the way, I had a fantastic rosé this weekend. I'll share the picture with you on the video.
I didn't.
Where was it from?
I just started getting into it now. I'm a your friend.
Where was it?
I got it from,
I know you got it.
no. It was, you mean Sabo, it's on the beach, French Mediterranean.
Did that go well with your record?
Different, I had Bordeaux with that one. Nice 2011, like the best vintage in the last like 35, 40 years of chapter.
What is the name of that app?
The wine app they're using?
Yeah.
Vino.
Vino?
That wine app they start selling?
V-I-V-I-N-O, the Vino, yeah.
Rosé is the best thing for
Absolutely.
It's primarily run in the south of France, right?
It's a blend.
Rosé is just a style. It can be used anywhere. Oh, cool. You should check out,
Big recommendations on this.
Was it French?
you should check out the, I'll tell you tomorrow.
Tell me for first Malbec Chianti Rio.
Really?
That's, well, actually, if you look at it, I prefer a bunch of different blends that are on there. 28% of my wines are not in there, because they're all good wine. There's a bunch of blends and a bunch of other stuff. Tempranos,
Like that.
Fuciano. This time of year, I prefer rosés. It's getting hot.
Just gonna try to find this.
Oh, you should do that. I'm not friends with anybody in that. I only use it to keep track of what I like, so I know how to go get it again.
Do you have friends that use, you know?
I mean, friends, I work on
Maybe I follow.
it. You should clarify that. All right, so revenue streams. You've got your normal ones. You're selling produce. What else?
Sell dairy,
Okay.
cheese, milk, stuff like that. That's a potential revenue.
Not services. consulting, audits, insurance. You can insure produce. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
No, the other one I have is processed foods, like, shredded lettuce and chopped romaine. Somebody's actually doing it and they just resell it to you.
Yeah.
But it's a big profit center. That one, the margins
Sure.
are outrageous.
You cut some wind out of it.
Yeah, and you're buying a box of 40 pounds of lettuce and you turn them into 8 boxes. And
Right.
you sell those 8 boxes at $22.
There's a whole lot of air.
Yeah, and the one box of lettuce costs you $12.
But I want you to think about your customer as somebody who, your customer does not pay you for produce. They don't. Your customer pays you for great tasting, good looking plates that go out and they don't have any profit. That's the end thing.
To participate in.
Right, you're a part of that. That whole chain is potentially you, right? Some part of you could be in that chain. Anywhere that has the produce touches that chain. From rotation of inventory, gating, stocking, auditing, any of that stuff, right? There's potential revenue streams there. And every one of those adds value to the point where I don't switch my produce provider.
I got you. But those are not really, are those really revenue streams?
Absolutely, you can charge for it. Oh, you should know. You might give it to them for free, just this guy, because you got a friend in the industry, to everybody. But you might have a listed price, right? Or you could charge for it. Sometimes you do both. Sometimes customers won't value what you're doing until you pay for it. Sometimes you could afford to do it for free. And charge some nominal amount. Well, you want to add the daily rotation, it's only $20 a month. You don't care about that $20 a month, but now I'm getting that from you, and I don't necessarily want my other guys to know that. It's a new offer. So you gotta, we'll go through this consumer psychology part of this. But anybody else stuck on revenue? Well, you've got phone consulting.
Phone consulting, the projects that you actually do, subscription model for access to these experts. If a short-term project translates to a full-time hire, look at a percentage of that.
I don't know if this would be useful now, but what about research review? Like I've got a study that was done by some lab we hired. Would you take a look at it and tell me if there's something that I should be aware of, right?
Yes.
So I mean, that's a, because if I'm an investor and I'm about to invest based on this lab's results and I don't know enough to know that they totally pulled the wool over my eyes, that could be a really important thing.
Yes.
Right? There's fear there. Anywhere there's fear, there's pain. You can take advantage of that. Okay. Anybody else got one? Anything new that's come to the, yes?
So we have internet sales where, of course, we sell our product in kits. We're going to sell our book that complements that. We have accessories for add-ons, making the crafts better, craft supplies, t-shirts, and then curriculum. But then our business wholesale orders, like to children's boutiques, is that a revenue stream? Is that a customer?
Be a different channel.
Different channel. Okay.
The revenue stream is still a sale of kits. It's just in a different unit, right? It's case pack, for
Right.
example, or palletized.
Okay, and then so we have an affiliate marketing program where we would pay back if they, like bloggers refer or non-for-profit, so that's a revenue stream.
Well, it's a marketing channel.
That's marketing.
You're paying money out. It's not a good way to track revenue.
Right.
It's revenue for them.
Okay, and then we grow parties in the future at some point when our brand is strong enough, we want to do is word something.
Okay, well, this is my good. Do you think down the road, as you guys look at how to increase the credibility cues for e-commerce conversion, really working with licensed therapists, psychologists, things like that would be important? And that opens up potential, like, are there, so we've got grief counselors who do, they've got to do continuing education. Right? Is there a continuing education market you can provide, using the do-it-yourself or make-it or crafting therapies as, and use your products, or have somebody use your products to teach that continuing education. Right? That's a different revenue stream.
So my question on that, I've been doing some research on that. That is a vast, we need to do like therapeutic tools, toys. That is a specialized thing. Is it okay to start dabbling in something that, it just seems like this is a whole area.
Aside from, you can look at it from a regulatory standpoint and make sure that you've got the right kind of licensed people to start talking about it, but I'm never going to send you an invitation. That's going to take money. So everyone make fair. If you've got a product that's going to solve a problem for those folks, and the way to do it is to start interviewing them as a customer. Right? Say, look, talk to 3 family therapists. Do you use these kind of tools? What do you like about them? What do you hate about them? What do you wish was different? Right? Is that? Yeah, I wouldn't wait. If it's a vast market,
Yeah.
and there may be a lot of competitors, and maybe you don't want to fight in that space, but you won't know who's the testing.
With consulting for spas and franchising.
We currently have our students, we get their tuition. We also have, I don't know, I was considering them students, but we have continuing education workshops. So people may come in for just a 1-day.
Who aren't necessarily our students, but another licensed esthetician. Cosmetology.
Right.
And then our spa services, our retail sales, and then we sell some professional products to mostly our grads.
All right. So the folks who open spas are going to need a whole host of services, right? They need products, they need training, they need HR, I think, the hiring, recruiting. You provide a lot of that. Right? It's interesting because I think if you have enough of those services, you can almost get to the point where you can pick and choose certain superstar students. So you provide, like, hey, we're going to provide all your product, and we're going to provide our best talent, and we're going to take a piece of your business. But we want to be the best. Right? I mean, that's another potential. Right? I'm trying to think of all the different ways. How do you integrate yourself into the spas to the point where you're not doing a whole lot of extra work, but you're taking the goal is to take the exact same products and services you have now and numbers them in a different way. Prime example, my wife is the marketing director of the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. So we were sitting around and I said, yours is a revenue department, right? She said, no, we don't make any money, we're just an expense center. So you couldn't be a revenue department. It's like, how am I going to make money on marketing? So we sat down and thought about it. But she has to take pictures of puppies and kittens doing very cute things and market, which makes for great stock photography. That you can then sell on stock photography sites, which is what they're doing now. You can shoot video, which makes for great B-roll footage, right? Puppies running down the hallway. That sells for $99 a clip all day long, right? Because he has access to that. So how does she take something she's already doing now, package it slightly differently, and turn it into another revenue stream? And that's just what I'm trying to challenge you to do, is how do you take the 2 things in your toolbox and repackage them to find ways to make more value? Hispanic Chamber. Memberships is the easy one.
Yep. Sponsorships.
Yep.
Okay. Some ads. We have like a banner, an ad, or when we do some publication, we, do some prints. We started the grants, right? A little bit of that. We started the student membership as well, but a couple more. We can do consulting. Also for companies outside the United States want to come in, we can help them. We also can do training. Not just local, but webinars. Charge for that. And something that may be borrowing from online world, some affiliate marketing, to help with membership sales, as well as to sell products and services that may be of interest to our members.
You guys sell marketing studies and things like that now? Hispanic market?
No, but we could.
If you're the experts in that space, you should be the experts in that space.
We should be doing more research, as well as collaborating with others to.
What about internal training for my company? You send a team out to train my company in Six Sigma or 5S or?
We've considered that, because I bring some of that expertise to some of the higher tier members to say, hey, we'll come and do something for you specifically. But it hasn't gained much traction on. But no, it's certainly, I see it as a benefit to that. We can.
Because I can see, if you were on a workshop, let's say, and said 5S applies to everybody, from Jimmy John's to Toyota, right? It works for everybody. It improves their business every damn time you ever seen me run it. Okay. We're going to run a workshop. Can 5S make me more money? And then from the people who go to that workshop, you get 4 of them who are like, I want in, how do I do this? Now you've got the consulting package, right? Where we send you out to teach them this methodology. Okay. That's good. So you mentioned a while back the cradle to grave life cycle of being there all the way along the way, as your parent and your coach and those kind of things. I thought that was a really good way to view it. But the challenge is, as I mature as a business, I need different things.
Absolutely.
It's easy to help the newbies, right? Everybody needs help.
But to retain them later on.
As they get more advanced, they don't need you anymore, so why are they paying for it, right? And so developing this kind of progression. honestly, we struggle with this in this program. We're trying to figure out when you guys leave here and you have a plan for how to grow, where do we send you next to make sure that you're moving along in that process and have the support you need, and we've got you partnered with the right investors or mentors. And is there some sort of group we can create that would have people, so there's accountability every week? I do. Because once you lose, I mean, you guys come to this every week and you talk to each other, and once you lose that peer accountability, it's hard. I mean, yeah, you're motivated, but you go back to putting out fires. It's really easy to get back to putting out fires, right? I mean, you're all struggling, I imagine, to carve out this time right now, because you've got a bunch of stuff you should be doing. But carving out this time, if I don't force you to do it now, and you don't have anyone forcing you to do it going forward, you can fall back into the putting out the fires.
So I'll just add that to my list. Send them to the chain.
Yeah, right. We'd love to send them to the chain. We're actually working with SPDC right now. So I mean, our thinking, the next thing would be the Profit Mastery course that I teach over at SPDC. So it'd be from here to the Profit Mastery course, and then to a CEO network with Rick Loveland kind of serving as the personal trainer to keep you moving, right? That's our thinking. We're trying to piece that all together. So, all right. Revenue, yes.
Okay, by the way, I just want to add, that is my greatest fear about this whole program. Getting back into the...
It's good that you're afraid of it, because it means we'll try to figure out a way to get past it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we have what I would consider 4 revenue streams. Okay, we have repairs of the circuit packs. We personally don't do our own repairs, but we subcontract out.
Your middleman.
Other places.
Are the margins good on that?
Crappy.
There's something you have to do because the customers expect it.
No.
So why you do
It was just something we fell into.
Okay.
And when it happened, it was like perfect timing. It saved our asses at the time.
Well,
And then it just became like, okay, we're making 10 points, but we're pushing paper for 10 points.
Yeah.
So
as long as it's not getting in the way of other revenues, it's okay.
right. It's not
All right,
like
I'm with you.
okay. Equipment sales obviously is our major revenue stream, and and we get them from end users, other distributors, and eBay would be the 3 participants in that revenue stream. The other revenue stream, this is very minor, but we have done some things on it. It's what I would call an AVL sale, or an approved vendor list sale. So in this example, we are an approved vendor for AT&T. They need to get some type of HVAC pump that costs 10 grand. They don't want to go through the process of getting this one guy who is going to, put them through the rigmarole in order to get approved, and it's going to cost them money to do an approval cycle. So I get a call and it's like, hey, I want you to buy it. It's 10 grand, mark it up 10 points.
Got it.
So free money.
So you're cutting through the bureaucracy in exchange for a small percentage.
Exactly, and it could be like anywhere.
Is there a potential big chunk of that? Okay.
I think if we properly marked it, in fact, I don't even think about it until it was you're making me come up with different streams. So it could be something that could be utilized, as long as we're marketing effectively.
Interesting.
The other thing that we kind of fell into is extended warranty. And so we might, in this particular case, we were selling modems for Department of Defense, and then a year later they call us up and say, hey, we want to make sure we've got these under warranty. And it's like, these things don't fail.
Yeah.
And so it was just coming up with the number, and every year they keep doing it.
Yeah.
And
there's a reason everybody tries to sell an extended warranty on everything you buy.
Yeah. So we try to push it more. I haven't done it. We haven't gotten as much traction on it, other than what we've already got going. So those would be what I would consider the 4 major ones that are in play. Things that we say that we do, but we have yet to do, would be the installation of equipment, what's called EFI, engineering, furnishing, and installation, where you provide really hands-on type of support, rack and stack, and spares parts management, logistics.
So it's funny that you mentioned extended warranty, because I was trying to think about, if you've got, I keep coming down this I kind of jokingly said insurance on produce, right? Like, your produce won't go bad for 3 days, I got you covered, right? But in your world, there is this, if you've got switches, these things are hard to find, but I've got replacements. We'll ensure that we'll drop one off within 24 hours or whatever, right? Dell used to charge me a lot of money for that. When I was running servers, they'd say, like, we can have any part to you in 24 hours for this much a month, on top of what we're going to charge you for the part, or 12 hours for this much a month. and our
Okay.
guy will fix it.
Right,
Depending on how important your uptime is, that becomes a valuable proposition.
right. Well, Cisco does that with their SmartNet program. And, but that's for like the primary, support, but like secondary support can actually be next business day.
Yeah.
And where you're just sending them a replacement, getting the other unit
Sure.
back and then repairing it.
But if it helps me mitigate risk, you know,
Mhm.
businesses will do that calculation. Usually the actuary table will show you what to play.
Right.
Sounds like you got quite a few. Wine club.
We've got our membership fee, the winner file, the seller dollar, although currently the seller dollar, all the extra profits that off that gets funneled back into the 2 free bottles of wine they got.
Yep.
Um,
That's not profit.
2 free bottles of wine.
There is
It's margin, it's not profit.
you can call it 2 free bottles of wine, and they still take it as 2 free bottles of wine instead of fact that you're paying for it.
Right.
I think part of it though is using the wine to attract customers, like going to events and then bringing wine to getting acquisition of customers.
Right.
To attract more people, like kind of using your resources just to.
So you guys have, if you do this right, you've got wine and you've got expertise around wine, which has value, right? Now there's all kinds of reviews out there and things like that. There might be some other way to carve out that expertise or, you know, if you'd like to be on the VIP newsletter, it's only an additional $12 a month. And we'll send you the best tasting notes from our guides who are all over the world or whatever, right? I mean, there are a certain percentage of people who, if you offer anything at a reasonable price, they will try it out. And if you produce value in any reasonable amount of time, they will give you pay. I'm not saying that's the way you should go. I'm just saying that we start thinking about what are some other revenue streams that might.
That's what Nino does, but I don't know. I wonder if like, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about a different model where you didn't charge for it, but if there was a network of people who are like people you know within the area who are like wine drinkers you trust because they have similar palate or you drink wines together and then you kind of access their profile.
So social networking aspect of it.
That seems like it seems like there's something in apps that haven't happened that is like so attractive. You know, they're all doing to develop and then they're selling wine. Maybe you know this, but it's third party.
Right.
So we've got online sales.
Information's a lot easier to deal with than wine. That's why they're not selling. Bits and bytes is easy to store. The inventory is cheap. Cost of goods sold is almost nothing. Right. That's why I like this business. That's why I do a lot of digital, because it's a cheap way to be a business. Right? I don't have a warehouse of anything. I got the 2 terabyte hard drive. So the wine itself, the membership to get the discounted wines.
The on-premise sales and the online sales.
Okay.
We have course fee, but I don't know if that really counts. We charge.
I mean, it's kind of like a boost too. It's a boost. It could be a boost to brick and mortar that we have.
This is because of the type of liquor license and the percentages. That's pretty traditional Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a restaurant. We have an on-prem license that
Got it.
allows us to
You're
use away.
class 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
The course fee just to like make up the difference for, I mean, you're not buying it for full price. They buy their bottle of wine, and they decide to print it there. The $8 course fee is to kind of make up that difference a little bit.
Right.
And then we did an app. We could do like either premium model or like one-time download fee.
Make these ads go away.
What?
Make these ads go away. There's
Or like
here's a
maybe
terrible
download
ad supported app. Now make it go away.
additional fee.
$3 or whatever. What's that? The Pandora type thing? Yeah. I'm just.
Is that kind of old school now, where it's like, where that's like outmoded? It's like pop-ups that annoy you, isn't it? Like you're saying now, it seems like people more target like a reasonable price for something that they want, as opposed to something they don't want to go away. Like pay for something to go away.
Yes and no. I mean, there's still a lot of apps that try to do that. Here's the thing: getting people to spend. App developers never understand this. That like I spent $50,000 building an app. You spend $4 a day on coffee, but you won't spend 99 cents on my app. And they fundamentally misunderstand the problem. The problem is uncertainty. I don't know if the app is good or not. I know what this cup of coffee is going to taste like roughly, right? It's always going to be the same. So I'm comfortable spending $4 on a cup of coffee. but I don't want to spend 99 cents and find out that it was crappy and I was cheated somehow and I feel stupid.
It's a throwaway.
Yeah, it's not about the amount of money, it's that I feel stupid if it's not good.
Is that where like the freemium model makes more sense?
Right, try it out, use it for free for a month, and then we'll charge you. That's usually reducing uncertainty, right? That's triple the money back guarantee, you're reducing uncertainty. It's all of commerce is about reducing uncertainty.
So can I give an example?
Yes.
I mean, it just brainstorm. My brother sells wine to the cruise lines, right, out of Miami. But he does the wine tasting, right? So he's pretty good at what he does. So I'm thinking about your business where you guys are experts in selling and trying to gain membership. I don't drink wine at all, okay? However, I have friends that also don't drink, but we've talked about, hey, you know, all this, the culture of wine is kind of cool. I would pay, okay, if I went to your site for a webinar, a live webinar, all right, that would in advance say, you know, buy this wine or whatever, and we're going to do some tasting.
A group tasting
So the
online.
guy comes on TV live, and you can ask questions, and he's going to show you how to do wine tasting, all right? And you get it with your friends that don't know the uncertainty. That's the key to me. It's like, okay, so we're being guided by somebody. And make sure you buy some cheese, whatever, click here, buy, you know, whatever it is, so you can have a nice
Purchase the kit,
experience.
the kit
without
shows
guy,
up.
But without the guy there,
The
I mean,
expert.
there, and maybe
A distributed tasting and
or maybe you have
education.
20,000 across the United States. You
That's
know,
an interesting
everybody in their
concept.
home doing the tasting, and then
I'd be
click here right
interested to see if
now.
anybody's tried that before.
It kind of reminds,
Reminds me of lot of team with it.
I was thinking actually this other concept that's kind of taking traction right now, it's called Blue Table. People are paying monthly, it's like $60, I think, or something like that for 6 meals. And you basically, they provide you like, it's a kit. They give you the proportions, like this much salad dressing, this much orange peel, this much almonds, and then you're like, boom, you have a salad. It's a lot more, the recipes are more like elaborate, but it gets you into like trying something out, and if you don't like it, it's like, okay, but like they kind of give you, like he's describing, it reduces uncertainty, but it also like kind of like, it does a lot of that guesswork for you. Maybe that's like something that's overlooked.
So I've been to it. So I've been to a bunch of different wine tastings, but when I was running Maker, I said, man, you guys know Noel, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you know Noel, right? Noel would come in, we would do, it was a tasting, but it was an hour-long seminar on a region. And he would bring 4 or 5 bottles of wine from that region, and we would bring some hors d'oeuvres, and he would have a PowerPoint set up, and he would talk about the wines from that region, and where these came from, and like, people paid $25, $30 a head for that.
Familiar with Wine Folly? So Wine Folly is entirely educational based. And
Yeah.
it's, I mean, what she, if this master sounds really young, what she did was she basically like, it uses infographics, and it spans everyone from like people who never drink wine but are interested in learning about it to people who are like connoisseurs who are looking for like specific information, but it makes it fun and accessible, and that's their whole like thing. It's like wine is fun and easy and accessible, and like this is how easy it is to learn. It's like demystifying it.
There's always, because that, you got a wine reporter in here. I used to own a wine bar. People own a wine bar. We talk about wine, and even then, I don't know as much as him. I don't know as much as you anymore because I don't do it anymore, right? There's always this information gap that is uncertain. It's uncertainty, right? And just throwing things out there, but like if there was for people that I dealt with, if there was the wine university, you pay for a year in advance of the subscription. You have the right to buy wine at the discount, but we're also going to send you, because you're paying for a year in advance, a bottle of wine every month, and we're going to have a guided tasting, right, online. So by the end of a year, you know a lot about wine, right? I mean, some things like that. Like it's not just the product.
Wall Street Journal, many years ago, had a married couple that were the wine critics. And once a year, they would have drink that bottle celebration. It was, Tuesday night in February, Valentine's Day, I don't know. And everyone's got the bottle of wine in their wine cooler or whatever. That's a special bottle that they got for their anniversary or whatever. And they would ask people to drink it, say, stop wasting time, drink it. And we want you to write in about what you had with it, who was there, what did you cook, those were the best articles ever. I used to love reading it because, people would talk about, gosh, my grandfather gave me this when we got married and he's gone and we had his favorite meal. I mean, you just sit there either laughing because they ate hamburgers and French fries, and tater tots, fish sticks, and it was just the best. And I think they had like 3 pages of stories that people wrote in. I don't know how you could tap into that. Maybe everybody buy this bottle of wine and tell us what you did.
Right. It is interesting.
Really good.
It's a very good point because everything that we're selling, at the end of the day, what you think you're selling, you're not selling, right? You're selling, Nick, you're selling convenience and reduction of uncertainty, and the produce is what I need it to be. When those guys up north who are just willing to pay for it, that what you're selling is that feeling that I'm capable of doing my job and things are going to be okay, right? You're selling hope that we can teach these kids compassion and we can get to this trouble spot. You're definitely selling hope, right? Hope for a future, hope to provide for a family. You are Obama, hope and change, right? Wine is it's about
hope in a bottle.
It's relationships. Like I can sit down and drink a bottle of wine by myself and enjoy it, but it's not nearly as much fun as drinking it with somebody else, right? It really is about the interpersonal relationships and the people that I drink wine with, the meals, and the family, right? Well, is selling uncertainty reduction all day long, right? It's you are allaying fears and helping people understand their world better. What's the emotional outcome that you're saying?
Oh, gosh. Probably for the hospitals, maybe some safety issues.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a fear issue.
Yeah.
For the restaurants, it might be cash flow. It might be credibility. It might be being embarrassed. Like, my restaurant, my booths are all torn up. This is my house. I'm inviting people into my house and it looks like shit.
Yeah. Attorneys' offices, things like that. Same thing. The image. Yeah.
Right? Thryve all day long. Right? Support. Expertise. Someone to just suffer with me when I'm running a business. And again, this is a fear and uncertainty play, right? Things broken, they need to be fixed. My job's on the line. People are starting to ask questions. I got to get this stuff handled. So everything that we're selling, but we're not selling. All we're selling is the tool to get to some emotional outcome, right? And I realized this when I was selling art. When I was on ArtFire, I wasn't selling a marketplace that helped you sell arts and crafts. I was selling artistic validation. Because if people bought your stuff, they were validating your creative output. And even if they didn't buy it, if they liked it or hearted it or said a comment about it, that was good enough. People would keep paying me every month if they kept getting hearts and likes and comments.
So you're validating all your users.
I made sure there were lots of opportunities to heart and share and comment even if you didn't buy.
And the more you heard, the more they heard.
That's right.
Hey, I saw a soccer game in Spain once. I can't get it here, but it was through Periscope. And the guy said, give me those hearts, or I'm going to block it. So yeah, I don't know, 10 million likes.
But so much of this stuff is actually emotional outcome. That's what you're really, at the end of the day, you're trying to figure out how to unlock that, right? So if I'm going to buy from Hua, I want to know she has the best experts who are going to handle my questions, who are going to deliver what I need, that's going to be a credible way, that I can defend it up the chain to my boss or my investor group, and that I can go walk into a room, a conference room, and slap a report down on a table or say, we talked to this person and this is wrong and this is right. That's what I want. I want assurance, right? So everything you're delivering is about convincing me that if I pay you, you will give me assurance. Right? All the rest is just a tool to get there. Okay. Marketing metrics. You ready? We're going to go through this fast. This is specific. We're talking about metrics tonight. This is specifically terms you may run into in marketing that you might want to know. So in marketing, we often hear this term CPM. It's cost per 1,000 impressions, M being the Roman numeral for thousands. This is how you compare marketing across many different channels when you can't close what we call the attribution loop. You can't get people all the way through to the register. So billboards, radio, TV, internet, web, t-shirts, you can always compare cost per 1,000 impressions if you can get an estimated number. Those numbers are often inflated. The newspaper will tell you all day long that if you buy an ad in the newspaper, it's usually seen by at least 2.3 people because they pick up and set down the newspaper and share it. And I'm like, you're telling me that 2.5 people for every paper you print are going to flip through to page 37 and look at my little tiny ad in the back corner, right?
It's not even remotely true of
Anything.
It's like 5% of all papers have that number, and the other 95%, like 5% of them get read.
But they're gonna blow up that number. So in broadcast, you find radio, this is something called cum, which is a cumulative total. They'll say, we've got a cum of 65,000, which means jack and squat. You wanna know what the average quarter-hour listener is during the time period your ads are running, right? Which, for 65,000 is probably something like 2,300, right? By the way, if you can ever choose, buy the second radio ad in the ad block. People don't realize they're listening to an ad during the first ad. They listen to the second ad, by the third ad, they turn the station. Gotta be number 2. Little insider trick from us reading. Cost per click. Everybody knows what that is. You bid for it on Google. It's the number when they click to go to your website. You can sometimes track shares or virality on Facebook or Twitter or things like that. The number of people you're reaching. Facebook does a better job now of tracking total impressions from both virality and purchase. You can sometimes track cost per action. That might be a newsletter download or a lead pages entry or requesting a phone call. We've all seen referral companies. You guys talked about having an affiliate program. It's another referral. So you kind of go down from most shotgun to most laser, right? So cost per action, you can say, I'm only going to pay when I make a sale. The things that you'll see a lot in email marketing are and in other forms of ads, a click-through rate. What percentage of time are people clicking through to see the website? What's the open rate on the email, and what's the unsubscribe rate, right? So if you send out an email and a bunch of people unsubscribe, that's probably a bad email to send out. You should always be answering, this is something we'll get to later, but we have something in marketing we call WIIFM, W-I-I-F-M, what's in it for me? You should always be answering what's in it for me with your marketing. Every piece of marketing you send out should inspire, entertain, educate, something. It should be valuable to me, right? If you send out an email newsletter blast to all of your clients, that is really about pitching your new service. But the subject line is find out 3 ways to make sure your furniture lasts longer, and it's got some information on how to maintain wax or whatever. I've got something useful in the email. Now I'm going to read your ad. If it's just like, hey, we offer new services, buy stuff from me. To me, telling you want some water, you want to buy some water, you want to buy some water, you want to buy something, just go away, right?
Yeah.
But if I
Trader Joe's.
yeah.
No, did you ever get the paper
Yeah.
from Trader Joe's?
Yeah.
They sell you nothing.
Right. It's just stories about different things.
Yeah.
How Trader Joe found it.
Yeah. They never sell you anything.
I had a restaurant client that I suggested, like, you're a cordon bleu trained chef. You should be like, how to pick the best fish for the season. There's this, and like, learn how to sharpen a knife on a coffee cup. I'll open that, then I'll see the specials. You ignore me and just sell out the specials every week until his business went under. But, you can lead a horse to water.
Yeah. Right.
You can't make a chef sound that decent. All right. Social media metrics. Almost everybody in here is engaged in some sort of social media if you're business to consumer, maybe not so much business to business. But you never know. You might be getting there, LinkedIn, things like that. Impressions, engagement, virality, we talked about, shares and retweets, mentions. You can track, if you go into Facebook, you can go into your audience insights and download a CSV file. And with that CSV file, they share all kinds of information they don't share in the insights. In fact, if you scroll all the way over to the right-hand side, it's like 70 or 80 columns over, you can find out the number of people who unfanned your page based on each individual post. Right? So you go, oh, I shouldn't put a post up like that again because 37 people unfanned. Yes. Go to Audience Insights, and then you want to download. There should be a CSV download under one of the drop downs. I can show you. Insights, Audience Insights. Comments, traffic, and then you've got all this kind of secondary stuff, cloud, social mention. I showed you those last time. Search engine rank position. That's what SERP stands for. I've heard the term SERP before. If you ever talk to an SEO person, they're going to go, well, we've got to get you a better SERP. That's your rank position for that keyword search in your target audience, right? So search engine rank position. And by the way, if you go online, you're like, we're always #1 on Google. No, you're not. You're always in a test, and if you search it a lot and you're searching from your computer, Google's going to put you at the top. So you want to use third-party software or go off-site or go incognito mode. And, you can use a free IP, like there's one out there called Hide My Ass. That's a great one. You can use them to search and see what the actual results are. And then Facebook has a conversation. All right, content metrics. So these are for your website. So basic stuff people track are unique visitors. Those are not the people who are coming back over and over again, but the number of individuals who come maybe in the last 30 days. The time on site, how long they spend, the bounce rate. If they hit one page and they leave, that's considered a bounce. If they click to go deeper or scroll down, that's not a bounce. So a bounce rate, if you have a very high bounce rate, you will not get a very good search engine rank position because what you have is not what the people want when they're clicking on it. The conversion rate, which we talked about, people who pay you and people who pay. Search engine rank position, number of backlinks, and post rank is another piece of software you use to score that. But you can compare these things time over time, so you can say, what was my conversion rate this month versus last month? What are my unique visitors? Are they going up? Are my bounce rates high? Things like that. Okay? Kind of basic terminology that you'll probably hear if you talk to internet marketers. Then we get into SEO, search engine optimization. We run into SEO people when they come to sell you.
Is SEO kind of like SERP?
SEO, search engine optimization, is in theory a way to improve your search engine rank position, right? The problem with SEO is that it was complicated voodoo to begin with, and Google gets smarter and smarter. They change the algorithm on average 360, 370 times a year, more than once a day. So it's kind of like the SEO business is kind of like playing chess against a grandmaster, but you're blindfolded and they can change the rules anytime they want. If you break the rules, they kick you out of the game. That's what it is. So you're kind of inferring all of this algorithmic stuff, and you're testing the waters with sites you can afford to get hammered on. You're learning some stuff that's pretty basic. You read up on everything that everybody else is doing. At the end of the day, write good quality content that your customers want to read, that's grammatically correct, and title it the right way. Go out and get people to share it on social media, and you'll do fine in SEO. Like it really, there's no way to cheat. There used to be, I had all kinds of cheats that we applied back in the day. There was all kinds of games you could play, right? At one point, I had a widget you could install on your blog that would link back to Artfire with what's called anchor text, which in this case was unique gifts. And that would link back to the Artfire unique gifts page. And everybody who put the plugin on to sell stuff off of their blog, it automatically plugged this backlink in from their blog that said unique gifts. I beat Disney for unique gifts in the holiday season. But the next season, Google said, if more than 20% of your total backlinks come from anchor text versus just your domain name, we're going to apply a penalty. So they hammered me the next year. Changes all the time. But these folks will talk about rankings, we'll talk about global rankings, local rankings, and you need to be outside of a personalized ranking, and you're always in a test. So really, the idea that there's some magical, you're a number one on Google, is kind of silly because you're never number one for everybody. And you don't even know if you're number one unless you're out using a non-personalized system and you're using a privacy setting. SERP impressions, so the number of people who search for discount wine every day, let's say you're number 2, and there's 1 million searches a day, you're getting 1 million SERP impressions. Because you're coming up number 2, 1 million people a day are seeing your company. So the higher your search engine position, the better. If you're in a local business, like a Tucson-based business, you have to deal with what we call the 6-pack or the 3-pack, which is those map listings for businesses that come to the top. Right? So if I'm searching for office furniture, you're probably not in the 3-pack. You're probably not going to be. Commercial furniture refinishing, you might be.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that would get you a better search engine rank position. If you are not showing up in the map grouping at the top at all, like even if you click see more and you're not there, you probably have to claim your business on Google, which you can do, like you log into your account and claim your business on Google Maps or whatever. They'll send you a postcard, you plug in the code, right? Then you can claim it. And there's some other things you can do, like make sure your address is on your website and stuff like that, okay? Now your top organic landing pages, these are the top pages people are arriving at. I just looked at them for Artfire. The number 1 page, if you total, there's lots of different products, so people arrive on lots of pages. But the page that has the most, single page has the most visits, is a blog post from 2013. Content is really important for search engine ranking. 1,500 people hit it last month. And it's a blog post about how to make a special, like, dog den space for your dog, like how to craft your own dog cave kind of thing. A lot of people searching for that, apparently. Right? Apparently there's a need because I'm getting on track. Okay. Again, for search and SEO, bounce rate is important. Crawlability. So Google indexes the web with what we call a spider. It's a little robot that crawls around and goes through all the web pages on your site. If you have a lot of web pages, you have to give the spider a map so it can find its way around. Otherwise, it can't crawl your site very well. So you have to have a site map. And those are pretty easy to generate. You can get software that'll do that for you. We have a lot of pages. And if your page, you can go into claim your site under Webmaster Tools. Go to Google Webmaster Tools and claim your site. And then you can start looking at crawlability. It'll tell you if it's got a bunch of 404s, that's, pages are broken, if there's no index, if the spider's having trouble crawling something. Because if the spider can't index it, you're never going to show up in search. So maybe we can index your homepage, but it can't index your organic skincare page. Well, that would be bad, because organic skincare would be something you want to rank for in search.
What is it called again?
Webmaster Tools is this Google product you want to get, and you'll have to claim your website with it. I'll walk you through that. One of the most important things for SEO anymore is shares and tweets. Google's theory is that if no one is sharing it on social media, it's because no one likes it, and therefore they shouldn't rank it very high. So if people are talking about it, it's more likely to be successful. This is what we call a quality indicator. And for Google, there's a lot of quality indicators in social media. So you want people to share, tweet, Facebook post, Pinterest, Instagram, all that stuff.
Does Google post these policies or whatever? Something? No, it's by
They don't tell you the rules. It's
How
algorithmic analysis by people in this industry.
Would you show up with a lot of money? I want to be here, and they'll just
No.
do it.
There's no amount of money you can have
ads
to Google out there. Right? You can buy ads, yeah. I mean, you can buy ads on the top right.
Okay, but not show up.
Not organically.
You just have to mess with these numbers.
And you have to have a really, there's probably 50 or 60 elements to what the rank is decided by. That's what these SEO folks do, right? So there's page rank and validity scores and backlinks and credibility and quality scores and text ratios and images and load time, how fast your page, I can go through 20 of them off the top of my head, and you can adjust all those. It still might take you 6 months to climb up into the top 10 for your specific key term, right? This is a whole lot of work. Wait 3 months, track what happens, go back, play with it again. It's not an exact science. Right?
And then they can change the
So
rules.
I said it's Google. It's I come here and say, hey, I'm gonna get you on the top of Google. Let me go dance around and kill a chicken. I don't know, this. It's this weird situation.
And then it's very possible that in 6 months they might have changed the rules a little bit. And
They'll change the whole thing. I'll give you a perfect example. Again, with Artfire, I had optimized the images on Artfire so that every single image had a title that was correct for the item title, and then they could put in separate captions that would have different keywords. And then on Google image search, it would drive traffic directly to that item, because I found out people were using Google image search as a shopping tool because Google Shopping wasn't giving the results they wanted. Once I got this all up and I went back and sent all these emails out and pop-up indicators to get people to change all their images, our traffic was going up by 28% a day. We were just crushing it. For 3 weeks, we were coming up on 250,000 visits a day, right? I mean, knocking it out of the park. I'm like, boy, we are going to exit this thing for all kinds of money. And they changed the image on it. Bulk, 30,000. Just like that. And what they did was they changed it to say, now instead of clicking to go to the website, you're going to click and we're going to pull the image from the website and make it bigger, but you're going to stay on Google Images. Now, I still pay for the bandwidth for that image from my server costs. So they're putting that on me, but they kill the traffic. So it changes overnight. You hear people talk about Panda and Penguin and getting Panda slapped, and that's all these different names for algorithm changes. So that happens all the time. Okay? If you ever really want to go down that rabbit hole, come talk. I've got an SEO lecture somewhere. That's a whole different hour. All right, lead metrics. So this is called a lead waterfall, right? And the idea is that over time, if you, based on what percentage, what day in the month you are in, what's your goal, the number of leads you should be generating per month based on your close rate. So it's a good idea to get a feel for, let's say you were calling those customers, you said, look, we really should be closing 50% of the customers we call should buy some additional service for us. And I want to make sure that the average ticket is $1,500. I want to make sure that we're generating an additional $10,000 this month. We're closing 50%. I need to close 10 of them. So I need to have made 20 calls by the end of the month, which means every day I got to be making 2 calls, getting 2 leads, right? So you just build this waterfall and you track your close rate. What it does is it tells you whether or not you're on track to hit your revenue goals based on those numbers. You can look at the growth in leads. You can obviously look at where the lead sources are coming from. They're coming from Facebook, they're coming from billboards. Real estate agents do this a lot, where they'll get multiple phone numbers. One phone number is on the billboard, one phone number is in the magazine ad, one phone number is on the TV ad, and then the service just routes them all to the same place and gives them a report. And they say, well, look, I'm getting 80% of my leads from the billboard. I'm killing everything else and buying more billboards, right? So it's a way to just measure how many leads you're getting. And then there's this, if you use a customer relationship management software, you can get something that's essentially a pipeline milestone. So you might have initial call, proposal, contract meeting, contract review, deal closed, right? Something like that. Well, every single route along that pipeline milestone, you'll have a historical amount of data that says, we close 70% of deals that make it to contract negotiation. We close 80% that make it to final contract meeting, right? So you can take the milestones of all of your leads and track them with the dollar amount for the proposed sale and the percentages you close. You can also do the time frame of that, and you can project out what your revenue is going to look like, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 60 days. Makes life a lot easier, as long as you're hitting leads. And this is where we get into this cost per customer acquisition. That's the total cost to get your leads divided by your converted leads. So if you have a bunch of sales reps, they're part of your CPCA. Your advertising, your marketing, your sales reps, anything like that is a cost per customer acquisition. So you have a recruiting staff or something like that, or counselors, or what are they called? Admissions. That person's salary, their total payroll burden, divided by the total number of leads that person gets, is part of the cost per customer acquisition. Because you might find that if you add another leads person, your CPCA stays the same, and you actually close double the leads. Or you might find that you don't, in which case, right? So you want to include all that. Conversion metrics. This is an example of a piece of software that we use to track conversion rate in a consultative selling process. So they have Josh's funnel. This is Josh, he's our salesperson. And the company's funnel. And these are the different stages they have from the milestones. So qualifying, present the solution, trial, negotiation, verbal commitment, deal. But then it compares Josh to the rest of the company. And says, look, Josh starts to fall apart right here at present solution. His presentation skills are not that good. Everybody else is 75% likely to get to the next step, and he's only hitting 56. And it starts to go down from there. So we might say, all right, we're going to send Josh out with a more seasoned sales rep to do the presentation and watch how that's done, or we're going to have him practice, or he's going to do it for the executives until we get that fixed, and then we'll see if the rest of this continues. And if it doesn't, we say, well, we'll give it a trial. Maybe his follow-up's not that good to get to the negotiation. So how many calls and touches is he doing compared to this person? Just a mathematical way to start measuring these milestones and figure out what's actually driving your business and where your team might be missing, where you can improve them. So in conversion, we care about the conversion rate, the percentage of people who buy. The average ticket is really important, right? And that's why I think segmenting your wine list, when you get to that point, the people who have a much higher average ticket or buy more frequently are going to have a higher LTV, lifetime value. And you want to segment those customers because the attrition in those customers is going to hurt your bottom line more. So you got to save them, even if that means one-on-one calls or offering them special deals or sending them a free bottle of wine on their birthday. If they're worth it, you do it. Then say the lower LTV customer who you can afford to churn a little bit because you're not losing that much margin. I'm trying to think, what is LTSC? I always get stuck on that one. Lifetime sales cost, that's for a consultative. So if you have to go back and do warranty work and follow up, and you got to send them a basket of fruit on their birthday because they're a big client, that can get figured into a lifetime sales cost. It's a total sales burden. It didn't cost you to acquire them, but to maintain that relationship was a cost. So you may want to factor that in. You can get customers who are inexpensive to acquire, but really expensive to maintain, and your margins may just not be there, right? You can start making that decision. And so that gets you to this cost per customer acquisition. So LTV versus CPCA is kind of important. Questions about this? Alphabet soup, right? All right, so key marketing metrics. If I was running a SaaS company, which is software as a service, or SaaS too, software as a service company, I would be concerned with, if it was business to consumer, social media, content metrics, things like bounce rate and leads and things like that. And really, at the end of the day, the most important one is the CPCA and LTV. How much am I paying to acquire them, and how much are they paying me over the lifetime of that customer? Now, the problem with the CPCA for LTV is that if you're a bootstrapped company, the numbers don't work as well. If you're a finance company like venture-backed, and I can acquire a customer for $25 and they will pay me $100, but it takes a year to get that $100. It's like printing money in the basement. I'm using somebody else's money to cover the gap. I'm a bootstrapped company and I spend $25 this month to acquire them, and it takes me a year to make the $100 back, right? Not a very good situation because I can't cover the cash flow in the interim. I can't just crank the engine. So if you're bootstrapped, you're self-funded, you may want to, you don't have to get to that 25%. You may want to be driving your cost per customer acquisition lower and getting that cash flow back in, getting it covered so you're into margin and profit faster, right? Until you're ready to go look for money, and then you should crank your marketing spend, right? Because they want to see it. Business to consumer products. So again, advertising metrics, social metrics, and then the CPCA plus lifetime value plus probably leads, depending on what I'm selling. If I'm selling a consultative product, the whole lead pipeline thing becomes very important. If I'm selling just a product online, that lead is not as important. It's just a conversion rate, right? Business to business product, same thing with the leads, plus potentially social and advertising. LinkedIn being the more likely social there. Quora, I know a lot of business people use Quora now for business to business sales. They've got the people out going out and answering 2 or 3 questions a day in Quora on their area of expertise. Because if I ask 5 questions about internet marketing and Tony jumps in and answers with a really good, useful answer, at some point when I need to hire a marketing company, I talk to Tony, right? And business-to-business services, probably all of these. If you're in the service game, you probably have to track a bunch of different metrics to figure out what's working, depending on the service. So, what are your key marketing metrics? We talked about key metrics for your business, but what would be the most important ones for each of you? From a marketing standpoint, advertising and sales. So this is kind of the level of metric reporting, the data maturity. So what happened, right? This is where we just get a bunch of numbers. And we determine if that was good or bad. Then we try to find root cause. Why did it happen? What if the test or run experiments, A/B split testing? And that allows you to predict what will happen, at least in the short term, right? So if I know that 5% of my traffic yesterday converted on the website, but I find out that 80% of that traffic came from a Facebook post that was targeting new moms. That's a good thing. Usually I'm only at 0.5%, now I'm at 5% because I have this one post. So that seems like a demographic I can test. So I might go test an ad and see if those hold. If those hold, then I know that I can convert 5% of new moms if I can spend marketing dollars in a way that makes sense. Right? So then it's just coming down to how do I get to new moms in the most cost-effective way for the margin I have to generate. Really times like that. But you're back into all of it. All right. That was a whole lot of information very quickly. That's how I like to do it. Fire hose. Everybody get a drink. All right. Question. For your business in particular, how many of you are buying advertising or marketing now?
What kind?
We trade. We trade.
Trade.
You trade with Facebook?
No, trade like with local, newspapers and things like that. Maybe memberships and print.
Okay. So in-kind services. What are you guys buying?
We spent money in 2 places. We did a Facebook ad campaign, created an ad, and $75 over 2 weeks at it. Reached like 6,000-7,000 impressions. It was 34 cents a click. I think the results were like okay, but not great.
34 cents a click. How many of those converted to actual membership?
I don't know if many converted.
Okay. So 34 cents a click. You said you spent how much?
$75 over 2 weeks.
So you got 200 plus people, 300 people to your website?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. There was about 200 people clicked.
Okay. So 200, 0 converted.
I don't know. I don't think any. I don't think any converted.
So that's important. So that tells what. So if we were to infer some things from that, the click-through rate. You know what the click-through rate was? No, I mean not the conversion rate. The click-through rate from the Facebook ads. How many people clicked on the ad to go to the website?
200 out of
7,000
out of impressions. It was like 6,000 impressions. So
6,000 impressions, 200 people.
3%.
3.5%. That's actually not bad for Facebook. 5% would be better, but. So the reason I asked that is if you had like 12%, 10%, 8%, 6% of people were clicking on your ad to go to your website, but nobody was converting, that tells me that your pitch is wrong, not your ad, right? Because people want what you're offering in the ad. They're just not convinced that you're going to deliver that when they get to the page. So that's where you start A/B split testing the page to figure out what the best pitch is.
Yeah, we A/B split tested with 2 ads.
Okay.
But we haven't split tested 2 web pages.
Yeah. So sites like Unbounce lead pages, they allow you to make really fast drag and drop A/B split test lead pages that are just one thing. Then you can route all your traffic to one page and it'll automatically split test them and tell you which one's the better one. Right? Then you can just make changes to that. So that's why I was asking that set of questions, because where the funnel starts to break down tells you what the problem might be, right? I had a very similar situation with this comic book website. I was getting a 5.5% click-through rate on an image ad. They were clicking through, they were going to this lead page, and they weren't signing up. So I changed the way the lead page looked. I put up a new video, started getting signups. I was like, well, the video works well, so I'm going to try it on the ad. Nobody would click on the video ad to go to the web page. They'd watch the video, they wouldn't go to the web page. So I went back to the picture ad. The combination of the picture ad and the video web page was the best combination so far. Now I've got to rotate the whole thing again, right, to try the next step. So that's just why I asked that question, right? So
I guess there was just a web page I saw today that had the video web page.
Yeah.
That's like a guy pouring your glass of wine, and then it like opens a box, and there's this thing where you can annotate your notes on it. And that's what they're going with. It's Mod 18 subsidiary.
got it. Explainer videos tend to be, because people don't like to read, so explainer videos tend to be really good. The rest of you who are not buying advertising, why not? Or marketing, what kind of marketing are you doing if you're not buying it?
My perspective, I mean, I do try to Google ads, spend
Yeah.
$100 just for fun, didn't see anything. So my perspective is I don't believe in paying for advertising. I believe in doing pitches, like getting in front of audience, writing a blog, like doing things that's free to get people to learn about
Is
your
that,
idea.
is that universal or is it specific to your
Just for
particular
my
product?
company.
Is it really free?
Yours question.
This time, yes.
Right? No, that's a thought leadership, right? We talk about thought leadership, and if you're writing articles, you're answering Quora, you're on LinkedIn, you've got a group, you're producing white papers and PDFs and things like that. Those things are mass available. To scale, you can start by you being out pitching and talking, but that won't scale, right? You will have to crack how to get new clients without you being the person to sell them. One way or the other. Might be a sale. Maybe it's all consultative selling. Maybe the hedge funds won't do it via any kind of digital. That could be the case. I don't know. They might need a consultative salesperson, but it can't be you forever. I would feel bad for you. You work really hard. Right?
Well, and Google Ads and Facebook might be different than campaigns targeting LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Which is an entirely different environment. Probably much. I mean, it depends on who you're trying to get. If you're trying to get doctors on board as experts, I don't know how many doctors keep up good profiles on LinkedIn.
Yes, if I was going to target doctors, I would go to the continuing education seminars and the specialties I needed to recruit for and have a table there.
Yeah. Yes.
That's how I would do it.
Earlier you were saying if you have a high click-through rate, but no conversion, or little conversion, then something's wrong with like the idea or the pitch.
Yeah.
And I began to think about it from the other slide you showed where it was like qualifying, present solution, trial, negotiation, verbal commitment, deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the first two stood out where it's like, if you get them hooked by clicking it, then when they get there, is it like presenting a solution at that point, or like getting, like you've already grabbed their attention, and rather than losing them, like from there, how do you get?
So there's two potential problems there, right? There's two different ways that can break. You could be enticing the wrong segment. That is, your ad is really good, but for the wrong people, they're not qualified. They're not the correct people. I don't even like wine. I clicked on it because there's a cute puppy in the picture with a glass of wine, right? That's possible, right? It's not likely, but it's possible. You've got to analyze that. The other side of it is you have the right ad that's promising the right thing, but when I get there, the price is not what I'm willing to pay. I'm not convinced you can deliver it. There's too much uncertainty. I'm not converting, right? If there's an ad that promises me something that I want enough to click on it, and I go to your website, and you can convince me that what I thought I was going to get, I'm going to get for a fair price that I'm willing to pay, I'm going to buy, right? And that's the flow of this. So you've got to think about it from the standpoint of, it might be that it wasn't segmented enough, right? So it might be that Sometimes you're doing a very general ad to get a general sign up. Like, hey, it's wine. You like wine? Come join our wine club. And it might be the wine expertise segment or the wine, I only like white wine segment, right? There could be a whole host of segmentation you could do. And the more narrow oftentimes the more narrow you focus the marketing message, the better the conversion rate. Because you're talking to the right, you're qualified down to the very right. That's why retargeting works well. I've been followed around the internet by things you looked at in a cart sometime. So,
How different is that though than calling someone up that you have a lead on? If you're trying to sell them like a stock over the phone or something like that, where you're like, hey, I know you have the money or the will to do this sort of, but qualifying a sale that way.
So qualifying the sale that they have the capability to purchase. I mean, in your price point, almost everybody within a certain income range is going to have the capability to purchase, right?
Yeah, and it's not segmented at all. It's just kind of like anyone who clicks it, it's kind of more like shotgun never.
It is, but only the people who want what you're selling should be clicking. Right? I mean, I don't click on lots of ads that I see every day because I don't want what they have.
I see. That's how you begin the funnel.
That's the beginning of the funnel. You qualify them through the ad. The ad is promising something that you're going to tell them how you're going to deliver. And that gets people.
Even like a question in the ad.
Yeah, or the image, all of that, right? So, did you try anything in the past, or?
Well, we do, I mean, a lot of our students are referred by other students. But we do spend a lot on like our brochure.
Okay.
We had free ingredient guides that we passed out to consumers as well as our students.
How do you distribute those brochures? How do they get out into the community?
Career fairs, or people come in for tours,
Libraries,
high school
bookmans, like
Okay.
little, wherever you can set.
Do you track the inbound students and where they heard about you? What's the percentage where they come? What's the
Word of
majority?
mouth.
80-20 word of mouth right now.
It's probably close to that.
Okay. Almost everything. You hear me
Well,
say
I'd
the
say
Pareto
for-
principle a lot, which is a mathematics principle, that 20% of anything drives 80% of something. Like that's how it always works, right? So as I was asking, 80% of it comes from somewhere. Where is it? It's coming from word of mouth. Right?
Word of mouth or internet search, those are our two.
So internet search. Right, so that's an organic search that landed on your page. So that's interesting because it tells me that you guys have an area of expertise that's specialized, right? You're doing something that no other school is doing. You clearly have an expert in the industry who's developing your own products, right? And you're driving a lot of traffic right now from search, which means you're probably well positioned for a thought leadership play. That is to start talking about, to really start publishing, like, here's 50 makeups you should know the toxins that are in, and take this audit, and do you have these, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, blogging, downloadable PDFs, video, a podcast. There's any number of ways you can go about that, right? But to really say you've got all this subject matter expertise, that's extremely valuable and it builds credibility. So I trust you, and I want to pay to go to the school because I trust you. I trust you because you give me all the information that reduces my uncertainty and educates me about the situation that I'm concerned about, right? So that would be something to consider. How do you take your expertise and make that a marketable commodity, right? Anybody else? You guys are doing some advertising?
Yeah, we do Facebook, Instagram ads, Google pay-per-clicks. And I was just looking at our statistics. Our bounce rate is about 60 to 70%, depending on the different months. Handful of conversions.
That seems a little high. The bounce rate seems a little high. It might be because you're dropping. I would be willing to bet you're buying ads and dropping people on the homepage
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
instead of buying specific ads and then dropping them to the specific products.
Right, what you were saying, I think we're too general.
Yep.
I think it needs to be segmented.
Because the customers never want to fight to figure out the product they want to buy. They want you to tell them what to buy, how much to pay for it, when to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and we were playing with words like project versus kits versus activities, and we're thinking those are it, but I'm thinking it's
Yeah.
not delivering it right to where they need to go.
Right. And again, think about the people who are searching. You might be buying keywords that are like craft kit for kids, right? That's a very general keyword. You're not solving a general problem. You're not competing with all the other craft kits. You're competing very specific. It's about parenting. It's about kids dealing with emotional things. It's about kids wanting to help make the world better. It's about teaching a lesson about compassion.
Well, you don't, I mean, in theory, you want to get them when they're trying to get a kid. But more realistically, you may want to get them when they're searching for doctors to help them with their treatment.
Right.
right? And so what is it that's going to get them in the moment? And then you show up and they're like, whoa, I didn't even know there was a kit. Could spend $20 instead of $1,000. This is a brilliant idea.
So you guys keep saying that medical aspect, that doctor, that psychology aspect.
Why?
I can't quite wrap my head around how to market that. How to, like, what would that look like? How would somebody stumble upon us getting that?
Well, I keep coming back to like helping my child deal with grief. Okay. If I've got almost everyone who has a small child is going to have at some point a small child has to encounter grief. Like a relative dies, the dog dies, something, right? Something happens, and these are these teachable moments that are really important in parenting and helping them deal with that reality. And it's something that any of you as a parent feel like you're super prepared for that. You're like ready to go. Let's do it. Like, I don't know what the hell to do, right? Just like when my water heater breaks, when my kid is emotionally broken, I'm going to go to the internet and Google how to fix it, right? So it'd be like, how do you help kids deal with grief? That stat has got to be searched. Let's go find out how often. I just want to know. Let's go find out how often that's searched.
Obviously, our product is going to say like grief counseling, but in our blog, is that where I need to start pushing this?
But you could say on the Google ad, or you could say like 3 kits to help kids deal with grief, right? Keep those little hands busy. There's all kinds of ways to go around target. Right?
And this is where your customer interviews help you find the words,
Lexicon,
right? What is it that they are searching for in the scenarios where you think your product would be relevant to them? Right? We can't see what you're doing.
If you're searching grief, and then you come to any page on us that doesn't have that grief link.
Right, and I don't assume that it's not relevant and move on.
Right, so maybe it is the blog that has to.
Well, it's the page itself. So you can probably create a web page that's about how kids deal with grief. You have a bunch of information. You have a psychologist who writes something, and embedded in that is your kits, right? These are some kits that we built for this, right? In order to this now, and it comes with like these tips on helping children deal with grief. Here's the kit, right? So that you're creating a page, yeah, that's collecting that information.
Yeah, were you asking, should I send them to a blog, or should I use my blog to send them to the page?
Right, so I'm thinking if you're saying Google Ads, grief keyword, and then would that ad send them to the blog or a page?
It would sending them to a blog would more than, I mean, it depends on how you approach it, but it depends on whether that blog content is the expert content that they need, and then in the context of this expert advice, we recommend this product, or whether it's you're capturing lead ready for your product, and you just want to give them the product, and you don't want that step in the middle that will distract them and send them off to something else.
Okay, so I'm thinking what you're saying is a specific page that grabs them and holds them.
Yeah, although you can use the thought leadership page to capture other results where they're not, looking for a quick fix, but you're giving them, content that is useful, and then you'll be able to follow up with them. You get an email address for the download, or you get whatever. That's the thought leadership piece versus the.
So I'm not looking for, let's see, I'm not getting recommended stuff here. I'm searching specific things right now. And there's only 70 monthly searches for child and grief in the search term. But the suggested bid is almost $7 a click. That tells me there's a lot more than that going on, right? So people are paying quite a bit for those clicks. Show broadly related.
What do you get when you search children and grief?
What's that?
What ads do you get?
Even Google is paying for advertising.
So coping with child loss, Rainbows for All Children, help children grieve and grow. Let me tell you what I do when I'm really having an off day. I go and search mesothelioma, and I click on the top 3 attorneys. It's like $286 a click. I hate those guys anyway. I feel like they're cheating people, so I like to smack them back. it's not good. We'd have to dig around in here, but you get the idea. You start looking around and find. There's some search terms. There's a series of search terms where people are searching for things that they're trying to figure out how to teach their child something. Teach empathy, teach sharing, help child deal with grief, help child deal with divorce. Those search terms are out there. And at that point, it's one of those no-brainers. It is a clear, I can give you $35 on a credit card and you're going to give me, whether I ever execute that solution or not, I feel like I'm doing something to move forward right now. And that's, yes, you want to help the kids, but you also need to address the parents and the customers. Those customers you don't have to convince. You just have to give them some level of credibility that you're going to send them something that can help them through this. Have more about the parent and the kid at that point and ship the product.
Okay, so you just listed on like 10 or 12 different words there.
Yeah.
You know, compassion, selfishness. And I'm just trying to, the logistics of that. Do each one of those need their own info page? How does that?
So what you would do is you would go through and you would find all of the search terms, like come up with 30 or 40 and brainstorm. Come up with, go build a spreadsheet with all the total search volume. Look at the ones that have the highest search volume but the lowest competition on AdWords, right? So if they're high search volume, high competition, you're going to pay for them. You might have to. But if you can find things that are high or medium search volume with low competition or medium competition, which are not accurate, then you can test those words. And I would build a landing page to test them. Build a page around that term. Write the headline, get the therapist or the psychologist to talk about the product, show a video of a child building the kit, or talking about what it helped them do. Really customize that sales pitch and then give them the ability to buy right there. Then test that and see what the conversion rate is on that page or that ad. I think you'll find it way high, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking it's just costly to have a page to our website. So perhaps we can do that as well.
It shouldn't be costly to add a page to your website.
Oh.
I mean, if you have your webmaster do everything, right? If you provide them the copy and the pictures and how the layout's supposed to look, WordPress theme, you should be able to do it yourself. If it's something else, maybe it takes them an hour. Maybe it shouldn't take much. Sorry, I'm giving you all the dirty inside secrets. The secret is we don't charge clients a lot for websites because it's hard to make websites. We charge clients a lot for websites because it's hard to deal with clients. If you didn't have checks, we would be All right, folks. Thursday, make sure you sign up for office hours. Saturday, we're on to experimentation. You need to be bringing your lean canvas to office hours on Thursday. And please have some customer reviews now or start or something.
So two things. Let me clarify this with you.
Yeah.
The way we've configured office hours. So I screwed it up because I've got events all day Thursday, so I rebooked everybody as best I could. But the general idea is that on Thursdays we have about as many slots as we have students.
Yep.
And so the intention is to not book with both of us on the same week.
Right. You should book with one of us each week, and we'll flip back and forth. Sometimes we might move you if you spend a lot of time with me and we need to adjust the input or something. Just be prepared for that. That's fine. I may move you. We'll see.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Hey, class.
Hey.
You're back in the village.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that years ago, there was a publication called Telephone International, and it was a women's magazine set with just ads.